So many veins sticking out of this man's neck.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, sorry. Welcome to Electric Enthusiasm, the podcast where we celebrate unironic enthusiasm. I'm aware this podcast is not coming out today, but today is Chinese New Year. So, 恭喜发财, 新年快乐, and happy Chinese New Year and fortunes to all. May the year of the tiger please bring an end to our terrible misfortunes and tests to our resilience. Come on, tiger. You can help us.
Yes. And happy Chinese New Year.
Thank you.
And I'm Alexander Kerouac, and I love snatches. Yeah. It'll become clear. It'll become clear.
I feel like that was a moment for the YouTube audience.
Yes.
All podcast listeners at home is like, that was a long pause. Everyone on YouTube's like, what?
What? Yep. All will become clear. It's not as sinister as it sounds.
So, Alex, tell us how it's not sinister. How does this episode work?
Yes. In each episode, one of us presents a topic that they love, but that the other host knows little to nothing about, and then tries their hardest to spread that enthusiasm to the other host and to you, the listeners. Sometimes we have guests on who are super excited about something that we know nearly nothing about.
We also have the moment of meta, where we nerd out about enthusiasm itself and talk a little bit about why it matters and how you can live a more enthusiastic life.
Because we think the world needs more enthusiasm, and you should share yours with ours on our website, electricenthusiasm.com, or our Instagram @electricenthusiasm, and tell us what you're excited about these days. You could even plain old send us an email at hello@electricenthusiasm.com.
The best part about this is you can't see that I'm lip syncing along with you because you're reading the script
I'm reading,
just
yeah.
like trying to lip sync along.
I should learn it by heart so I can enjoy that while I read it. Yeah.
So, what are we talking about today?
In this episode, we are talking about the sport of Olympic weightlifting.
Sure.
Yeah, right. What do you know about weightlifting?
You pick up heavy things.
Uh-huh.
You should pick up the heaviest thing. Like the heaviest thing wins.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like it's in relation to your body weight. Is this a boxing thing? Like the lightweight champion of the world, heavyweight champion? Is that like a boxing thing or is it both?
There are weight classes.
Are they called like featherweight? I like featherweight.
No, they don't have cool names like in boxing where you have the
dude.
welterweight and the featherweight and the super heavyweights. They don't have names. Sorry, they're just like from this number of kilos to this number of kilos. It's a little boring. The lightest weight class should be like, in boxing, it's flyweight. It could be like
Ooh, cloud
weight. Yeah.
Cloud weight.
Cloud weight.
You're flying in the clouds. Airbenders. Sorry. We should class it between airbender and earthbender. Airbender is the lightest class weight and earthbender is the heaviest class weight.
I like it.
Sorry, I'm a child. So, Alex, why on earth are we talking about Olympic weightlifting today?
Well, first of all, I thought I should set myself a challenge because I know how uninterested you are in sports, right?
Oh, deeply.
Is there any sport you follow?
Absolutely none.
No.
Through John Green and my love of Brothers Green, I do know quite a bit about AFC Wimbledon, who is a football team in the UK. But I don't watch anything, but I do know quite a bit about how they're doing in the third league of UK football. I don't know. But yeah, no, sports are not my thing.
That's a weird slice of sports to know something about, Katie.
It's very specific.
So I set myself a challenge and see if I could in any way get you even a little bit excited about weightlifting. And I think people should be. It's a fairly new sport with ancient roots. It is also a niche sport with very few fans, which I think is a shame because it has so much drama and even beauty in it. And on top of that, right now, these months, the sport is facing its biggest crisis ever. It's been a part of the Olympic Games since the first modern Olympics in 1896, but it may be banned from the future ones. We're going to talk about that. So all you listeners, stay tuned, even if you have zero interest in sports, because we will also dive into the history, the politics, and the poetry of weightlifting.
I'm here for the culture. You know me. If you can like give it a cultural angle, I'm here for that.
I may even sneak in a Chinese angle. Who knows?
Ooh. Okay. So I feel like I have a vague understanding of why you picked this. You're here for the challenge.
Yes.
So let's start with some facts. What exactly should a person know about Olympic weightlifting?
So in the sport of Olympic weightlifting, there are two lifts. Do you at all know what they are?
I know the phrase deadlift. Is that a thing?
No.
Cool. Then no, I know nothing.
So the two lifts are the snatch and the clean. Yeah, the snatch
Yeah.
and the clean and jerk.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. One more time. One more time.
The
The s-
snatch and
uh-huh.
the clean and jerk.
Yo. Okay. Some naming choices have been made. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yes, they do sound vaguely dirty, don't they?
Yeah. Why? Why did they do that?
I have no idea. I'll have to Google that. That's a very good question. Why is it
I'm assuming they
called
describe how
snatch?
you pick up the weight. Like you're either snatching it or you're cleanly jerking it.
Yeah. So,
Sorry, I said that out loud.
yeah, this snatch got its name as the move is performed by snatching the weight off the ground in one smooth motion.
Mhm.
Let me show you a snatch.
Ooh, ooh, I can see things. That's fun.
She's going for 72 kilos as a 45 kilo lifter. Big moment. Better than the second.
She's tiny.
Uh huh.
How old is this person?
20s.
Really? She's so
Mm-hmm.
tiny. Okay, her
Uh huh.
thighs are something to contend with. Okay, tiny little girl, giant weight. Ooh! She did the thing. It's over her head. I will say them dropping their weights is genuinely anxiety inducing. I'm so scared. I know they're not going to drop it on their feet, but this thing is clearly very heavy. She had to go into like the deepest squat ever to pull it over her head, and then she just dropped it. And I was like, I feel like you should put that down gently, but I understand that it's normal to drop. It makes me so scared.
I feel ya. On the other hand, I also do some weightlifting.
Yeah. Is that with your CrossFit? With CrossFit maybe?
It is! Yeah, how do you know? I do this thing called CrossFit.
I was waiting for that. The second I saw the title of today's podcast, I was like, if we don't mention CrossFit,
And we just did.
I brought it up. That was my bad.
Once you have the weight overhead, dropping it from up there is so satisfying. You can even, if you made a really good lift, you can't even slam it, you can spike it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah. So describe the movement she did. She pulled it from the floor. What did she do?
She went into like a very deep squat. She brought it, I think, to her chest. Hang on. It was very fast. It went
Ex-
very quickly.
It does. It really
It was
does.
quite a short little like boom boom.
Uh-huh.
And then she brought it to over her head. She went from this extraordinarily deep squat,
Mm-hmm.
and then she stood up. So they bring it over their head in the deep squat, and then they stand up.
Yes, that is the
Okay.
snatch. Is you have to take it from the ground to overhead in one motion, and then you
Mhm.
stand it up from there. Okay?
Okay.
So that's the snatch. And then we have the clean and jerk. Let's look at one of those. Tell us what's going on in this clip.
The new senior world record in the clean and jerk. The new senior world record in the total. World champion and gold medal.
So many veins sticking out of this man's neck.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So sorry. Oh wow, he like collapsed when he dropped it. How heavy is that thing compared to his body weight? Um,
Heavy.
so this time he started in a squat and he picked it up to his like shoulder neck bit, stood up straight, and then he went down again. And then he went down again. And then he
Exactly.
goes down into the super deep squat. So much loud noises as well. He made
Exactly.
so many noises when he did that. And also, what I quite like about it is he's so happy. He is so excited about it. And he has like his coach come out and they have like a big hug. They're so
Yes.
hyped. I like see people are like really excited about themselves. It's really good.
Yes, and there is a ton of that in weightlifting. We're
Yeah.
going to go into some of the best celebrations.
Yeah.
That was Lu Xiaojun, by the way, one of the best Chinese lifters ever.
Mhm.
And in the clean and jerk, there are two lifts. First, you clean it, which means bringing it to your shoulders, and then
Mhm.
you jerk it, which means bringing it overhead. So
Okay.
that's why it's called clean and jerk. You have probably heard the terms snatch and clean and jerk before.
Have I?
Yeah. Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I have seen Rock Horror Picture Show.
It's actually mentioned in the song, "In Just 7 Days, I Can Make You a Man."
Oh, yeah!
Here, let me play you that one clip.
He'll do press-ups and chin-ups, do the snatch, clean and jerk. He thinks dynamic tension must be hard work. Such strenuous living, I just don't understand. When it's just 7 days, oh baby, I can make you a man.
Yep, he just said it.
And what is he saying?
He'll do press-ups and chin-ups, do the snatch, clean and jerk. His thinks dynamic tension must be hard work.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this is the gayest shit ever. I love it.
What? No, not at all.
Okay, Rocky Horror Picture Show is the campus shit ever, and I'm here for it.
Yes, so good, so good. So if obviously they stuck those in the lyrics because snatch and clean and jerk sounds vaguely dirty,
Yeah,
and
for
then
sure.
you will see that a lot in weightlifting rooms. Like, could you come take a look at my snatch? Could I show you my snatch? Could you watch me jerk this weight? Yeah, no, yeah. There's a lot of that. There is some snickering around the weightlifting rooms. Yeah.
Yeah, but why not? You might as well. If they went as far as to name it like that, you might as well go in and just go with it.
And we do. So there are 5 things that absolutely fascinate me about weightlifting. Want to hear them?
Yes.
Okay.
Shoot.
First of all, it's the history. Lifting heavy things has been around forever, like since ancient humankind, but the sport is fairly new.
Mhm.
It was part of the first Olympics in 1896, but it was a little different. There was a one-handed category and a two-handed category. Yeah. So different lifts. I'm not sure exactly how they lifted, but the two-handed category was won by Viggo Jensen from Denmark.
Yay!
I did not know that. Showed up in the research. In the current form with the two lifts, that's been around the Olympics since 1928.
Wow.
Sadly, women were only included at the Olympics in 2000. So it's a fairly new thing that women are even allowed to compete at the Olympics. Yeah, that sucks. But there are some badass women in the sport now. We're going to talk about a few of them. Lifting heavy things has been around forever, obviously, but not really as a sport, more like training for other sports or other disciplines, like training for soldiers in war, that kind of thing. A good example is ancient Greece. There was a wrestling champion called Milo of Croton. He was a 6-time Olympic wrestling champion in the 500s BCE. By the way, he was known to be able to lift a bull. He started out lifting a calf every day, a bull calf every day, lifted the calf up. And then as it grew, he lifted it every day. And by the end, it said he could lift a full-grown bull. I'm sure that's a myth, but it's a good story.
Deeply impressive. Also, though, when you first said it, I heard the hominin bowl, as in BOWL, and I was like, what bowl? What bowl was this? Bull. BULL.
Bull. Yes, bull. Very good. Fun fact about Milo of Croton is that to intimidate his opponents, he would eat raw bull's meat in front of them just before the match.
That would do it. I'd be very intimidated by that. That's a very effective intimidation technique.
I think it would work on me too.
Yeah.
So he was obviously lifting heavy things to be a better wrestler. So that was definitely a thing in ancient Greece. By the way, do you know why a gym is called a gym?
Gymnasium?
Uh-huh.
I want to say Greeks. It sounds a Greek word to me.
It is, and gymnasium comes from the Greek word gymnos, which means naked, because you used to work
Yeah, that
out
makes sense.
naked.
Well, they didn't have any what are those like Lulu? They didn't have Lululemon back in the day. What else are they going to use?
No spandex. No spandex. Might as well go naked. The ultimate Lululemon.
Lululemon, we're accepting your sponsorship deals anytime soon.
Yes. So lifting heavy things, we know it happened in ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, China, India. Here's a question. What do you think they often lifted in addition to bowls?
Well, I'm thinking of like, have you heard of caber toss?
Yes.
Like the Scottish Highland Games have this thing called caber toss where they like chuck a giant tree that can weigh up to like 100 pounds or something.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining trees. You could throw a tree.
Trees, definitely. But one of the things it's very common in all of these cultures is lifting stones
That makes sense.
because they're heavy and they're around anyway. If you go to the Museum of the History of the Olympic Games of Antiquity in Olympia in Greece, they have something called the Stone of Bibon. It's a stone that weighs 143 kilograms. It's a block of red sandstone with notches carved in it. So it has handles so you can lift it. And there's an inscription on it that reads, Bibon, son of Fola, has lifted me overhead with one hand.
143 kilos? One hand?
Uh-huh.
Ugh.
Yeah, I have two theories. Either Bibon was very strong or he was a stone carver and it's a joke.
Uh,
Yeah. I don't know. These lifting stones are still around. It's still a tradition in many countries. For instance, in Scotland, you mentioned the caper toss. That's definitely a tradition. But they also have something called the Dinny stones,
Mhm.
which are two huge rocks. They weigh 330 kilos in total. They have two metal rings set into them. And then you basically see if you can lift both of them off the ground at the same time. It's a tradition that's been around since the 1800s. And in Iceland, there is the Husafell stone, which is a 180 kilo stone. And the challenge is not just to lift it, it's lying on the ground next to a sheep pen in the countryside in Iceland. So you can
Uh-huh.
go there, you pick it up, and then you carry it around the sheep pen as far as you can. That's the challenge there.
I just I love the human spirit to just come up with dumb challenges. Like
Right.
the modern day TikTok challenge. Yeah, okay, cool. Like we do TikTok challenges now. But we've been doing dumb feats of stuff forever. Like this is not a new phenomenon to just see like, hey, how many times around this sheep pen do you think you can walk this rock? I don't
Yeah,
know, dude. Let's go. Let's figure it out. Like that's a very human spirit kind of thing to do. I like that. I really like that
exactly.
about us.
Exactly.
We're
It's dumb
ridiculous.
and it's pointless, and I love it. And by the way, the record is held by Hafthor Björnsson, the
Yeah.
Icelandic strongman who's also known as the Mountain from Game of Thrones.
Oh, I know that dude. He looks okay, out of mountain costume. He genuinely looks like a teddy bear, that man. I would love to get a hug from him. I think he'd be a good hugger.
I'm sure he would. So lifting has been around forever. The sport itself is fairly new, less than 100 years old. Second reason why weightlifting is fascinating is the weight classes. So I'm gonna give you two different lifters, and I want you to take a look at them and imagine that these two are competing in the same sport, not against each other, of course, but in the same sport. So the first one is Nadezhda Nguyen. That's the one you just saw in the video, snatching.
Oh, yeah. She's
Yeah,
tiny.
tiny, right? This is the smallest weight class is the women's below 45 kilo class.
So she's smaller than me. Okay, cool. That's a really good reference point.
Yeah,
And then the other woman
the heaviest weight class is the men's 109 plus kilo class, which means
ah!
that you weigh more than 109 kilo. This guy is 2 meters tall, weighs 180 kilos. This is Lasha Tallahatse from Georgia. Try to describe his body shape.
Is bear.
Bear. Yeah,
Is bear.
like big bear.
Big bear. Like barrel chested.
Huh?
The phrase barrel chested applies to this person. It's also slightly terrifying because like this particular photo you sent me cuts off the lower half of his feet, which means that he already looks giant, and I realize I can't even see all of him.
He is massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it just fascinates me that these two people are in the same sport, obviously not competing against each other,
Yeah.
but still doing the same lifts. I don't think there is any other sport where the heaviest competitor weighs 4 times as much as the lightest.
Yeah. It's crazy looking. I'm flicking between the two images. It's
Mhm.
crazy looking at them.
Yeah.
Like yeah, insane. It's so fascinating to see that I now understand the value of having weight classes because like there's no way they could compete against each other. But also what's really interesting is like I think if I was to think of like the stereotypical quote unquote Olympic athlete, you think of someone who's very, very lean, very visibly muscular. Lasha doesn't actually fit that look. He looks very like soft but huge. And this is one of those things that as a society, we don't see this body shape as being physically fit. But clearly he is. He's an Olympic athlete.
There's actually an advantage in the higher weight classes to being big, because if you're throwing around huge amounts of weight, it is an advantage to weigh a lot yourself, so you can sort of withstand the pull of those enormously heavy barbells.
Very, very terrifying.
Yes. So that's the weight classes. And then we come to the poetry of weightlifting. Yeah. So here's how it works. When you go to a competition, especially if you go to like the European Championships or the World Championships, you get 6 lifts. Yeah. You get
Okay.
3 attempts to snatch, and then you get 3 clean and jerks, and then you're done.
Oh, so
And
like you do so okay, I thought it was like you choose which techniques work best for you, but you have to do both. So you have to train
yes,
both techniques. Okay.
yes. At the World Championship, they give out 3 medals. So heaviest snatch, heaviest clean and jerk, and then the most prestigious is the heaviest total, where you just add the 2 up, and then whoever lifted the most in the 2 lifts combined
Ah,
wins the total. That's the most prestigious award.
that makes sense.
Okay,
Okay.
so you could be a snatch specialist and be really good at that, and just win that, and then not do very well in the total, for instance.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
just as a detail, at the Olympics, you don't have individual medals for the snatch and clean and jerk. You only have the total.
Okay.
Yeah. So each lift takes not like a few seconds.
Yeah, they're very fast.
Yeah. So you've trained for years to get to the Olympics, and your total active time is going to be like 30 seconds, and then you're
Yeah.
done. This compares to like the 100-meter runners, where
Yeah,
you
that's
can run the
true.
100 meters in 10 seconds and you run a total of 4 races if you qualify for the finals, and you're over in 40 seconds. This is even faster.
Mm,
That just fascinates me that it is so quick. Like a marathon runner gets to run for a couple of hours plus, right?
yeah.
These guys are done with their entire Olympics in one day. The whole competition held in one day, and in about 24 seconds. I think that's fantastic.
I think that's slightly terrifying as well. Like, because imagine if you don't do well, you only get this like one shot. This sorry, I just started singing Eminem in my head.
Yeah.
Um, but like it just feels like it's such a short amount of time to prove all of the work that you put into it was worth it, and that just seems slightly terrifying. But I can see why it's very exciting because it's super intense because it's very short.
Yes, and part of the poetry is also that tension and
Mm-mm.
then the strategy, because you have 3 lifts and they have to get progressively heavier. So you want to open on a weight that will set you up well, but you can't open too high, because if you miss that lift, you can't go down in weight and try something else.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So that's part of the poetry, in my opinion, of weightlifting. And there's also poetry in motion,
Mm-mm.
because when you lift, I mean, you have to be strong, yes, but that's not enough. You also have to be incredibly fast to make it. You have to be super flexible to catch the weight in such a deep squat. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
super focused, because you go in and the lift is over in a blink of an eye. There are so many things that it takes, and I want to show you a lift here. This is Lasha Talahatsu, the big guy from before.
The
And you're going
bear.
to see the same lift in fast and then in slow motion. And tell us what you see. Oh, and I should say, this is from the World Championships just a month ago,
Hmm.
and he sets the world record in the snatch. On the
Oh,
bar, 225 kilograms. 225 kilograms that he's going to pull overhead in one motion.
he. Okay, video is loaded. I just noticed he's got like such a big belly.
Yeah.
Okay, he's bent down to pick it up. You can hear the paparazzi cameras. Yeah, you're okay. Slow motion time. Slow motion time. This music is epic. This music is everything. Oh my god. It's so fire. He's got such a look of focus and concentration.
Uh-huh.
Seriously, this music is hilarious. He's also keeping his knees really, really bent right until the end.
Mhm.
He's using so much of his musculature. And like, oh my god, he's on his tiptoes. He's off the ground. He's off the ground. He's in the air. How are you in the air with this much weight? It's also, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm talking very quickly because it's all happening very fast, even though it's in slow motion. There's a moment where it looks like the weight is not moving. Even though he's like
Yes.
gone from being here to underneath it, it's like the weight is suspended in the air.
Yes.
Yes! Go, dude, go! Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Yeah! That music is hype. That music is everything.
Isn't it amazing that a man that big can move so fast?
Yeah. And also there's so much happening in that very short amount of time. I teach dance. I think a lot about how to use the human body. I can see how he's pushing up through his hips and I can see how they're interacting with the weight. But then also this idea of like pushing up through his toes and like getting that little loft moment, but his knees are still bent the entire time. The thing that terrifies me is that landing. Like if you don't land with the bend through your knees, you are fucking up your joints, mate.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of technique. And also, like the Chinese guy, his neck is all the way forward.
Yeah.
So is it like you want to have the weight supported through the back of your body?
Yes. You're just more stable if your head is forward. There's less of a
Yeah.
chance that your shoulders will twist and you'll drop more weight. Yeah.
Oh my God, this seems very dangerous.
There is a lot of injury in this sport, but on the other hand, these people train for it and they know what they're doing.
I think my favorite moment is after they've done the initial lift, when they have to go down into the squat and it looks like the weight is hovering in midair and
Yes.
it's not going anywhere and they like
Yes.
they move around it. It's very cool.
That is well spotted because that is key. Is that moment where you pull the barbell off the floor. It's on its way up, it's just about to go down, and right then is where you need to be super fast and get under it. Because
Yeah.
if it's coming down when you get under it, you're not going to make it. If it goes too far down, you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you catch it too early, you're going to be in the receiving position in your squat, and it's going to come crashing down on you. You don't want
Yeah.
that either. So it's split second timing. It's flexibility to be able to catch it that deep. And then
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
obviously it's strength and it's speed and it's timing. That is it's poetry in motion. I look at him and he is so crazy fast from pulling it off the floor when he has it in that weightless position, basically, to getting under it. He is
Yeah.
so fast.
I will say I have been just watching it on repeat since you sent me the video.
There's a majesty to it. There's a beauty. There's poetry.
Like I just really want to understand how his body is doing this because it seems so impossible to me.
Olympic weightlifting is part of CrossFit, and I used to hate it. I used to hate it so much because it's hard.
Mm-mm.
It's tricky. It's difficult. Just setting up to even lift it off the floor. That starting position has at least 10 or 15 different focus points.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
You want the shoulders over the bar. You want your knees out. You want your feet at a certain position and facing out a little bit. You want your ass down. You want your chest up. So in the beginning, I didn't get it, and every lift was painful. Every lift was like hard and a struggle. And then one time I got it, and a weight that had been super hard just popped overhead on its own. And that's when
Wow.
you get it. Yeah, that's like a magical feeling.
Oh, the moment when things click. Oh, yes.
Yes.
The moment when things click is addictive.
Yes. And that's when weightlifting starts being fun.
Question.
Yes.
The belt he's wearing.
Yeah.
Why is he wearing a belt? Because it gets stuck on his weight. His weight gets caught on it.
That happens to him occasionally. It's a weightlifting belt. It's one of the few tools you can wear. It allows you to tense up your abdominal muscles even more because you can
Mm.
press your muscles against the belt,
Mm-hmm.
which allows you to tense your core even more, which allows you to lift heavier shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get why this is exciting. I get it.
Yes.
It's
Right.
I've been just watching that one on repeat. I'm not watching anything. I'm just watching the slow motion on repeat. It's just very fascinating to see how his body's working and to see all the different forces. I feel like a physicist I feel like I'm sure there's studies, but like as like how physics works through this and like there's an element
Mhm.
of a swing on the up and getting that moment. Yes, it's cool. It's cool.
All of that. I'm so glad you can appreciate that because it is beautiful.
I just like seeing how human bodies work.
That's so good. The drama. Because there is so much riding on each and every lift.
Yeah.
You have so much drama going on. The lifter comes out with his or her coaches, right? And again, they need to focus. So they will yell at each other. Like the coach will yell right into the lifter's face, or they will yell at the coach. Yeah. They have smelling salts, like ammonia to give you that you smells when you get that jolt, that adrenaline. Yeah. I've seen coaches slap the lifter.
Rude.
So there's all this drama going on. I have seen a lifter pee on the floor. Very few
Oh.
other sports have that.
I'm thankful for that fact.
Yeah,
I'm grateful that that is not that common.
I can see that, but it was kind of interesting because here's what happened. It was at the women's competition, one of the heavier weight classes. I think the 79 kilo weight class. And there's a Colombian lifter comes in, and if she makes it, she wins the gold medal in the world championships. Okay, and so she goes into the clean. She has trouble standing it up, but she makes it. Does the jerk, gets it, wins the gold medal. And the commentators are talking about the amazing lift. And then I see some people coming in and start wiping off the floor, and nobody says a word. And then I go back and watch the clip again in slow motion, and you can full on see her peeing as she's standing the clean up. And in weightlifting, this is just accepted. This is how
That's cool.
much you push yourself. This is how how much internal abdominal pressure you have. That if you pee on the floor, no big deal. Just the way
I
it
mean,
is.
I appreciate them not shaming her for that. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
In weightlifting, there is zero shame in that. It's just something that happens, and she
Okay.
still won the freaking gold medal.
Worth it. Worth it.
Absolutely.
I will say, when it comes to hyping, you mentioned how they hype each other up.
Mhm.
I have been known to yell at my dance partners into my dance partner's face right before we go out for a competition or performance. Um, I used to do you know Shia LaBeouf's Just Do It video?
Yes.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!
I almost know that word for word. And so I'll do that at a dance partner. I'm like, yesterday you said tomorrow, so just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams. And I'll just do that at them. It's always great when there's other competitors or teachers around and they see us and they're like, what the fuck is wrong with them? Particularly when it's like me and I'm like maybe dancing with Ben, who's like a 6-foot massive Australian bloke. And there's just me next to him going, just do it. So I relate to that. I vibe. Screaming into somebody's face to get you hyped before you have to go out in competition. I understand that on a very fundamental level. And it's how I get hyped.
What would you like somebody to yell into your face just before a competition?
I like unconditional positivity. So like Shia LaBeouf is great. Also just going, yes, 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 yes is also fabulous. I had a
Yeah.
coach once in my troop days. She would just go down the line of us yelling yes at us with like a huge, slightly manic smile. It was fabulous. A
I love
plus.
that. I love that. Yes. So there is all of that drama in weightlifting. I think that's fantastic. And then of course you have the celebrations. Again, because there's so much riding on it. This lifter is called David Katoatau from Kiribati. And this is actually him missing a lift. Try if you can describe what goes on after that.
Oh no, 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 no. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. Ay, yeah. Okay. He still looks really pleased with himself. He's doing like little like breezy knees. He's bowing. He's thanking the audience. He's doing a little dance. He did a little like mug to the camera right at the end there.
Yeah.
Why is he so happy?
First of all, it's his style. He'll do that whether he makes the lift and wins the gold, which he has,
Uh-huh.
or whether he fails the lift. And also, it is something he does to bring attention to global warming. He's from Kiribati, island nation in
Yep.
the Pacific. So that's his little protest.
I'm watching it again because it's cute. So like so regardless win or lose or fail, he celebrates.
That might bring us to the final topic I want to mention, which is the politics of weightlifting. Because another thing that's fascinating about weightlifting is how corrupt it is and has been for decades. You might think that FIFA, the football organization, is corrupt.
Thank you, John Oliver. I know quite a bit how corrupt FIFA
There you
is.
go. There you go. And FIFA is bad, but whatever you know about corruption in FIFA, corruption in the IWF, the International Weightlifting Federation, is way, way, way worse. And I want to mention a few examples.
Yay.
Yeah, there was a German documentary called Der Herr der Heber, the Lord of the Lifters. Good title. I just watched it on YouTube, and we're going to link to it in the show notes. That came out with all of these allegations of corruption and fraud and doping in the IWF. All of it led by Tamás Ajan, Hungarian, who's been the president of the IWF since 2000. He had to resign in 2020, but then he finagled it so that his right-hand man became the president instead. Here's what he's been up to. So there are doping tests in weightlifting. There has to be, or they couldn't be a part of the international sports community. There are tests at the competitions, but also in training. The testing agency will show up unannounced and ask for a urine sample from this lifter. Whenever there was a positive test in training, he would conceal it. So it wouldn't be officially announced, and that lifter would be allowed to go on competing. Okay? Yeah. Here's the cool part. On the other hand, the lifter and that national lifting federation would get a fine that they would have to pay directly to Tamás Ajan, sometimes in cash. So they would get a $5,000 fine, $10,000 fine, in some cases like a $100,000 fine that they would have to pay to him in cash. Nobody knows where that money is. There are 10 million US dollars missing. It's just insane what's been going on. There was a coach from Armenia that explained how they evaded the drug tests. So whenever the anti-doping agency showed up at the training room, they would find doppelgangers for their lifters and have them pee in a cup. So they could test these clean samples, and the actual lifters were never even tested. This goes on especially in Eastern Europe and Asia. In Europe, it's a lot more controlled. There are much stricter drug testing protocols. You can't cheat in the same way. There's not that same level of corruption, which of course makes it desperately unfair for like a Spanish lifter to compete against a Hungarian lifter.
That.
Tamás Ajan is on his way out. He's desperately clinging on to power, but he is on his way out.
That's good.
Yeah, and that is good. And he has to, because the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, has basically told the International Weightlifting Federation that if they don't clean up their act and introduce actual doping controls, they won't be a part of the Olympics, starting with the Paris Olympics in 2024, which would be a disaster for the sport. It's already a very limited sport, and the only time they actually get any serious viewership is at the Olympics, and they get a lot of money from being part of the Olympics. If they lost that, it would be a disaster, and that is finally forcing a little bit of change in the IWF.
Okay. Fingers crossed it continues to get better. It always strikes me as like, what, like, there's just a lot of corruption in sports.
Yes.
That I understand. And I'm just like, guys, stop. Is that an option? just don't do that anymore. Like, why do you have to be so power and money hungry?
Yeah, exactly. To end this on a positive note.
We gotta boomerang it.
Yeah, one of the positive developments in weightlifting over the last few decades is that the fashions have changed a little bit. For instance, now that women are also competing, it used to be that you could only wear a singlet, but now you can actually wear full body covering so that Muslim women can compete.
That's awesome.
Also, men's fashions have changed here. Take a look at that. This is what men used to wear for weightlifting.
That's like Borat meets Nacho Libre.
Yes! That's essentially a mankini, right?
Essentially it is. It is not attractive.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
But that guy's hair is so cute. Like the little fro, very nice. A+ hair.
We are in 1969, so
yeah. I stand those eyebrows. Those eyebrows are cute. But that outfit is I boot this outfit.
Yeah. That's the opposite of stan?
Yeah,
Or,
no.
yeah.
That outfit needs to be booted.
I feel you. I'm so glad they're not doing that anymore.
You know, I every time we do these episodes, I'm constantly thinking in the back of my head, like, what is the graphic gonna look like for this week's episode? And I'm like, is it that dude? Maybe it's that dude. It's a grainy AF photo, but it's hilarious.
It is. Either that or the 45 kilo lifter, Nadezhda Nguyen, that we saw at the beginning.
Yeah. I also really like David, I can't say his last name. What was his last name?
From Kiribati.
Yes.
David Katwatau.
Yeah, David Katota.
Yeah,
He's cool. I like him.
he was very cool. So, Katie, what do you think of weightlifting now? Any enthusiasm at all there?
I think it's very interesting. And I also think what I really like about this podcast and stuff in general is when I have somebody who knows a lot about a thing explain it to me.
Hmm.
And I feel like this episode was exactly what I love, which
Hmm.
is when I know nothing about this and you have a level of detailed knowledge, which I very much appreciate. And you explained it really, really clearly and very interestingly. So I am fascinated by it. I think I would totally watch clips on YouTube of this thing. I can see
Yes.
myself doing that. That sounds like a YouTube rabbit hole. I am ready to fall down.
There is a ton of great content on
Hmm.
that on YouTube, and we're going to link to a lot of it in the show notes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we should definitely send all the links that I watched to all the viewers so they can see and experience this insanity of the stuff I saw.
absolutely.
So, aside from like a YouTube rabbit hole, where else can we go to learn more about weightlifting?
We're going to link to a lot of these clips. I mean, you're going to see Lasha Talahatsu, the big Georgian bear, lift in slow motion. You can see Nadezhda Nguyen, the 45 kilo porcelain doll,
She's so tiny.
throw 75 kilos overhead. Yeah, it is. They're insanely strong and fast and badass, all of them. What you could obviously also do is go to a local competition. There will be local meets, local competitions in your area. There might be like a national championship going on. There won't be a lot of people there. A lot of the time, admission will be free because it is a very niche sport.
Oh.
But go watch it. Go watch the drama. Go watch the poetry. See it with your own eyes. Pick a favorite lifter and cheer for them. Go be a part of the sport. You will enjoy it. I promise you. So, dear listener, what did you think about weightlifting? What is your 1RM snatch? How much weight can you throw overhead? Come brag in our comment section. Do you have any questions about weightlifting, or did we leave out something awesome about it? Go to our website or Instagram at Electric Enthusiasm and tell us all about it.
Looking forward to hearing about it. Okay, in today's moment of meta, I would like to provide to you your guide to gratitude journals for skeptics and those who hate self-help books. Because that's me.
Me fucking too.
Right? Like I can't do mindfulness. I'm not into meditation. My friends keep recommending the subtle art of not giving a fuck to me.
Uh-huh.
I just can't. I just don't like it. I don't do it. I find it stupid, slightly obnoxious, and I just
Yes.
refuse.
Yes.
And then I tried gratitude journaling and it worked, and I hate that it does. So, where do you stand on gratitude journals?
It works. I have not tried it myself,
Mm-hmm.
but I have looked at the research,
Yes.
and I've actually talked to some of the people who've done some of that research. Like,
Fascinating.
yeah, like Sonia Lyubomirsky from Berkeley.
Mhm.
So the research is very clear. It
Yep.
it it works. It will raise your overall happiness levels to sit down and spend some time reflecting on what is going well in your life, what you're grateful for, what you enjoy, that kind of thing. Yeah. How do you do it?
So I will say, like, I clearly, like, you know all the research, but for anyone who doesn't know, there is a buttload of research out there from everywhere from the University of California in Miami to Harvard to, as you mentioned, Berkeley. There's so much research out there. This is a thing that works and it helps and it is very, very good. And I knew all this stuff and still was like, yeah, whatever. That's for like lame people who can meditate. That's a weird thing. But I kind of forced myself to get into it. So I have like, for those of you who are watching the YouTube, you can see I'm holding up my little journal.
Oh, you have
Um,
a paper one.
yeah,
How
I do
old
it in
school.
writing. The reason I do it like this is because I can make it really pretty.
Uh-huh.
And that's part of it for me. If I can make it rainbow and colorful, and I've got like an attitude of
Ah.
gratitude written on every page.
Yeah.
Um, if I can make it like for me, it helps that it's written down and that
Mm-hmm.
it's not a screen and that it's
Mm-hmm.
not typed. Obviously, for anyone, it can be different, but that's something that really, really is useful for me. And what I've noticed since doing it, so I did it since January of last year until around about when I got back to Hong Kong, and then I just kind of fell out of pattern with it because I didn't have a desk. That really helps me to have a desk set up where my journal sits open and then I have to go past it and be like, oh shit, I need to write in that stupid thing. Um, I have to like kind of bully myself into doing it some days. But what I did notice, I've had to start redoing it again because I've been having kind of a rough time in Hong Kong, because restrictions are still pretty intense here. So I made myself get back into it. I set up a little part of the half flat where I have my notebook out and I have everything written down. And it does make a huge difference. And I'm really annoyed at how quickly it fucking works every goddamn time. It's so annoying. Like, I find myself annoying right now. For those of you listening who are annoyed by me, I feel you. I get it. I know. I'm so pissed. But what it does is it encourages me every day to try and look out for shit that's good, which means that throughout the day, I'm looking for goodness. I'm looking for what I'm going to write tonight because I know I have to. It feels a little bit like homework and I have to do it, and there's kind of a deadline on it. But it means that every day I spend my time thinking, like, what good thing happened today? Like, what can I write about tonight? And then you have days like, because I'm writing down on a relatively small notebook, there's not a huge amount of space here for all day, like to write something, a sentence for every single day. And it's always really exciting when I don't have quite enough space. This is really
Right.
exciting. I'm like, wow, this sentence is now too long. I have to write in shorthand because there's so many good things that happened today that I want to write about. And
Yes.
like, those are the days that I'm really excited about it, because I'm just like, well, I have to write about this, and I have to write about this, and I have to write about this, and I have to write about that. And like, it's always like a really wonderful day when I'm like, man, it's not going to fit today. Today's a day it's not going to fit. And then there are days where I'm just like, I don't know, pizza? I guess pizza. I like pizza. But for each of those days where I'm just like, I guess pizza, there are the days where I have like, well, I'm really grateful for my found family. I'm really grateful for connection. I'm really grateful for dancing. And then there's so many things I can write down that it balances out in the end. But the idea of like, each day you're actively looking for that thing that you're going to write down, that thing you're going to be grateful for, means that you're just creating positivity in your life and creating that good feeling. And yeah, it fucking works.
How annoying.
I know, it sucks, right? And it's something so
So great.
stupid and so simple and like so I feel like a dork. I feel very dorky.
Yeah, I can see that. So you
Yeah.
collect these experiences throughout the day, and then in the evening, sometime you write them down before you go to bed,
Yeah,
or
pretty
yeah.
much. And then every now and then, if it's something, a person, like, so for example, recently I had a really great conversation with a group of friends, and we ended up, it was like 2 a.m. We ended up talking about how to set boundaries and relationships. And it made me think about my friendship with Areski. And so that night I was thinking my relationship with him and how positive it's been and how much I've learned from him. And so that night, my journal was like having this great conversation with my friends here and reminding me of my relationship with my dance partner. So then I also texted him being like, hey, I am grateful for you. And so it helped me also then realize like, oh, I should share this gratefulness. But like, if it's a specific person I'm writing about, like, they probably should know about that. And so then
Yes.
it helps build relationships with your people as well.
Yes. And do you ever go back and read previous notes?
Yeah. It gives you the warm fuzzies. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
I also realized my handwriting is shit.
Yeah. There are probably two reasons why this works.
Mm-hmm.
The first reason is the gratitude. Training your mind to seeing the positive that is around you. That is just a good habit to get into. Um, and the other reason why it works is probably the journaling in itself. There's a fascinating piece of research from workplaces done by a professor at a Harvard Business School. She wanted to examine how employees' emotions and thoughts affected their work. So
Mm-hmm.
she made a lot of people every day write a few reflections about your workday, just like a couple of sentences, one paragraph, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And she found that in itself, just the journaling in itself, not necessarily with a positive focus, not necessarily with a negative focus, but just in itself reflecting on your day and writing down a few key observations, that in itself made people happier.
It's almost like self-reflection is like good for you or something. Ugh,
I hate
gross.
that so much.
So
Yeah,
gross.
gross.
Hey,
Gross.
guess what, Alex? I'm going to ask you a question.
Hit me.
What are you grateful for? Feel free to punch me through the screen for that.
You dork.
Such a dork. But legit, like name something you're grateful for.
I am grateful for a million things. I'm not very good at remembering them, though. I do have, yeah, no, seriously, I should definitely do that. I'm afraid your dorkiness may rub off on me now too. Yeah.
It's almost like when someone asks you what your favorite movie is, and you're like, "I've never seen a movie in my life." What are you talking about? There are no such thing as movies.
Yeah. No,
Dunno.
just one example. There's a cult cinema in Copenhagen, and they showed Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Hey!
Yeah, so we went there with some friends. There's a board game cafe on the ground floor. So
Yep.
we spent 3 hours there playing stupid board games
Yes.
and getting drunk on champagne. And then we went up and saw Rocky Horror, and we sang along to all the songs, and we danced along to the dance, and it was
Yeah.
amazing. That's just one example. I'm grateful for where we live. We live in the coolest part of Copenhagen. That's like, actually, our neighborhood was just voted as the coolest neighborhood anywhere in the world.
I'm so excited to come visit you. I'm
Yeah.
so excited. I
Yeah.
want to see this neighborhood.
It is pretty amazing. There are always a million things to be grateful for, but you need to remember them, and that's why this is actually a really good practice.
Exactly. So, people listening to this podcast, I implore you, be a super dork and write down something you're grateful for in the comments on Instagram, or send us an email. Let us know 1 or 2 things you're grateful for, just because it's good for you. It's like vegetables. You
Yes.
gotta do it. It sucks, but you gotta.
Yeah. It's like Brussels sprouts.
Yeah. Oh, but I like Brussels sprouts. Like if you cut them in half and roast them,
Yeah. Oh,
delicious.
Little
So
grated
good.
Parmesan on top.
Ooh, yeah, now we're talking.
Yeah. So if you take your gratitude journal with a little grated Parmesan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's the colorful aspect for me. Like getting to like make it really colorful and cute, and like
Oh yeah.
unlocking the
Yeah.
inner 14-year-old in me who had 16 different colors of gel pens.
Yeah.
That makes it really fun, and like I'm doing like an art project instead of
Mhm.
doing a mindfulness journal. And I think that's the grated Parmesan for me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. It works. Just do it.
It works.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is your guide to gratitude journals for the skeptics and those who hate self-help books, because
Love
it
it.
legit helps.
And we should include some of the research on why it works and how to do it. Some tips on how to do it in the show notes.
To be honest, it's how to do. Just write it down. Just do it. Like I feel like it's not that hard. Just at the end of the day or in the morning, write down something, anything that you felt grateful for the day before
Yeah.
on that day.
Try it. It works. I'm gonna try it now.
Yay!
Damn you!
I shall make you happy. So, Alex, if somebody enjoyed this episode, which one would you recommend they try next?
Well, since we are in the world of sports and slightly extreme sports, we should send them to the one with Mark and the ultra marathons,
Yes. I
right?
was just thinking that. I'm like, it's got to be Mark.
Yes, because he's a weirdo and these guys are weirdos, and there's a majesty and a
Yes.
poetry in that as well, in running, 50 miles up and down mountains and through rivers and bleeding
Yeah.
feet and bleeding nipples and yeah.
Too much bleeding. There's too much bleeding.
Too much bleeding. Probably a lot of peeing, and I don't know. Let's not go there. What do you think? What would be another good episode for somebody who liked this one?
I think that's the one I'm immediately going towards.
You know what? You know what I think? We could
What?
also do Jonathan Stout.
I was thinking like Stout or like Niels Bohr or anyone who's like really dedicated their life to like one thing.
Yes.
I think that like level of dedication to a single thing is very appropriate for like the weightlifting thing.
There you go. There you go. Alrighty. Dear listener, we hope you enjoyed sharing some of our enthusiasms in this episode. Please visit our website, electricenthusiasm.com, or find us on Instagram @electricenthusiasm to discover more episodes or to leave us a comment.
And now, dear listener, go be dumb and pointless because we'll love you for it. You said that right at the beginning. I immediately wrote it down. I'm like, that's my call out at the end.
Dumb and pointless. Dumb and pointless.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
dumb and pointless.